It's been great. I think I read the script for Mantra almost a year before we started, like a year ago. And yeah, the first time I read it, I just loved it. I thought it was brilliant. So I said yes. And after that, of course, he gave me draft after draft because Nicholas keeps reworking. And then I had lots of pointers, and we got into the details of the
Right.
script and how it can be like more perfected. So yeah, it's just a script which says so much about our country as a whole through the eyes of this one family.
Right.
So I think it's and it relates to me a lot because it's the 90s, which was our teenage years growing up here. So have memories of that time, all and Uncle Chips and all these brands that were there
Right.
then, and how that changed and how we became this multinational company kind of India where we introduced Coke and McDonald's. And I remember when growing up in Bangalore, the first Pizza Hut opened, and there was a queue all the way down MG Road, to the end of the road for this stupid pizza. Well, it was KFC, I think KFC. And you're like, this obsession we had with like globalization, and then how these smaller markets sort of disappeared.
Right. So you also do have a personal connect, with the issue, the topic that the movie is really trying to.
Absolutely. I think anyone growing up in India in the 90s has seen those extreme changes in terms of the industries that have grown up. It's like funny. My friends who moved abroad, they all like say we moved at the wrong time because we moved abroad for Nutella, but then Nutella came to India, so
Yeah.
we moved for no reason. So yeah, it suddenly developed. But at the same time, with that development, a lot of things got lost, and I think that's what the film is about. This one family and the things they're struggling with and losing.
Right. So Kalki, a good chunk of our audience is also fairly young. They're probably people who were born after the 90s. They probably did not see the liberalization happen so closely. So what is an audience like that really in for when they watch this movie?
I think that's what's great about the film. It moves in generations. So even though you have, the main character is Kapil, who's playing my father, Rajat Kapoor, and he is the center of the film, and he's the one who owns this company, which is going to loss. You also have the kids, which are me, Shiv Pandit, and Rohan. What's Rohan's last
Rohan
name?
Joshi.
Rohan Joshi. So, the kids represent this newer generation. Especially Rohan Joshi's character, who's the youngest son, who's 16.
Right.
And, is kind of the new gen cyber freak. The one who spends all his time on a webcam and, online and stuff. So it totally represents all these generations. Plus, there's Nanu's character, our grandfather, who comes from an even more earlier generation. So it really covers all of it.
Right. Also, Kalki, one of the recent movies of yours which has been talked about quite a lot, at least on social media, was is Margarita with a Straw or Chune Chali Asman. I know you played a very interesting role there. In fact, we also did a very vast coverage of the kind of role you've played and what it really portrays. So the relationship that you had with your mother in that movie, was also. It was like a conflicting kind of a relationship. Is it something similar that we'll probably be seeing in Mantra as well? Is that the kind of a role that it'll be like?
Well, actually, it's very different in the sense that I love both these films for the mother-daughter relationship, and they both have very, very powerful mother-daughter relationship. But whereas in that one, it was really about Laila's character in Chune Chale Asman, who's kind of breaking away from home and from this mother who's really given her everything, and she's been so dependent on because of her disability, and having to come to terms with that, and her mother also having to come to terms with I don't have to look after my daughter, she can do things independently, which is so difficult when you've been so attached to somebody, especially with a disability, because your privacy, your everything goes away, right?
Right.
So it's a very interesting relationship. But in this film, my mother's character and me have a very sort of almost a very mature, loving relationship. My conflicts are a lot more with my father, and I kind of see what my mother is going through in her loneliness, and we kind of there's this favorite scene of mine where we both share a cigarette together.
Right.
Chup chap quietly we're like smoking this
Right.
cigarette. Which is it's just one of those little moments where you see that the generation gap going away, you know, and especially between women, there's certain secrets that you understand and that you share. So that's what I like about this relationship between me and my mom.
So Kalki, talking a little about the kind of voice you have on Twitter, because you're really active on Twitter as well, and you've very openly taken strong stands on issues related to gender. And your monologue for India Today was really powerful. Like it was fantastic. Given that scenario and the way we look at the cinema, larger mainstream cinema, there is some clear patriarchy that you see in the kind of roles that women are playing. What do you think about that, and where do you think that really is going? Going ahead from here?
Sorry, I'm not crying. It's just there's a lot of sun and it's like making my eyes water. It's so sad, the situation of women. No, it's it is an interesting time to be a woman right now. I think there's huge changes happening, and it's gotten to that point where women are aware of their rights. Women are a lot more empowered because of education, because of just being financially independent, getting jobs. So it's a really exciting time. I do think, our cinema is still lagging behind, and we still have a lot of very stereotypical portrayal of women. As somebody who doesn't have much opinion to offer and who's just beautiful. So, but I think that's also changing, and we're seeing more and more of these, films, even in commercial cinema, like Queen, Kahani, actresses who are just kind of being empowered and being, whatever, main leads and characters which are discovering themselves without the help of a man or without the guidance of a man. So it's exciting for me to be in this time, and it's only going to go forward. I think that we are so exposed today, thanks to the internet, to everything in the world, that I think it's very difficult to go backwards, thankfully. Because there are a lot of people trying to make us go backwards, but I don't think it's possible because of the age of the internet.
Right. Do you also, when you're picking your roles, are you also very careful of the way the characters being portrayed?
So it's a tricky thing to answer, because as a woman, I know that there are negative characters as women, and you do have bimbets and you do have existing real people who are not all feminist and strong. There are weak characters, and it's okay to play that and portray that, as long as it's portrayed in a realistic manner and you see the reasons for why that person is going through. I think it's always about context. Whatever character you're playing, that it's under a certain context. Like Queen, for example, maybe a lot of people were arguing that she's not a feminist at all, that she's from this tiny little place and from Delhi, but in the sense of her world views are so closed. But for her journey, for a woman from that background to journey so much is in itself an amazing feat. So India itself is so many centuries in one place, and you can't expect the woman in the village to advance as much as the woman in the city. So it's important to portray all these people and not to ignore one side. There's one thing which I've noticed about the portrayal of women in India. It's that a woman can't be multiple. She's one thing or another. This happens all the time. So either she is sort of Sati Savitri, or she's like a vamp girl, or she's a good wife, or she's a very she's the NGO, the activist, the worker, whatever. There are all these different identities, but it's so rare that we see that multiplicity in one woman. If a woman wears a bikini, then she's not intelligent. We have these sections, and I've seen the hypocrisy on the other side too. I've seen women who are sort of very conservative in their dress, judging somebody for the way they dress. But then saying, let's stand up for women and women's rights. And I think that doesn't make any sense. I mean, we have to stand up for every woman's rights and what her choices are, and it's her choice, what she wants to be and what she wants to wear and what she wants to say. So I think we're still struggling with that, the idea that one woman can be many layers and many things. She can be a mother, she can be a sexual person, she can be an intelligent person, a working woman, a wife, and that's very much true of a lot of women. And we need to start identifying and respecting those women.